Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
LSU going to their 20th College World Series. The 7th school in history to reach that milestone. 12-5 the final score.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome into Talkback here on your Monday morning, a beautiful Monday in the Metroplex. I'm Al Quartermont along with Nathan Martin. Hope you had a great weekend. It was a great weekend. If you're an LSU baseball fan, as you heard, for the 20th time, the LSU baseball program is heading to Omaha for the College Baseball World Series, a 12-5 victory over West Virginia last night to sweep the Super Regional 2-0. And it all happened much later than it was supposed to because of the weather, but the game ended around 11 o'clock last night. So some of you may have stayed up to watch, others of you may have not, but we were there to play the clip for you. So congratulations to Jay Johnson and his LSU Tigers, Fighting Tigers. And here was some of Jay Johnson after the game talking about the victory. And I think I was trying to get it queued up here. Let's see. Oh, well. Guess we won't have that.
We got
anyway,
some crowd noise.
Yeah,
sure.
we have some cheering.
And there was a lot of that going on.
I was trying to do that on the fly, but dramatic win, or a very outstanding win this weekend for LSU. That game on Saturday, I'm trying to get my days right here, it was kind of wild because LSU took a big lead and then West Virginia came back on them and then LSU pulled away again. A couple of grand slams in that game. That was amazing. And then yesterday they got off to the 5-0 lead and then it got a little closer and then they pulled away again. So in any case, they are heading to Omaha. It looks like they're going to play Arkansas in the first round, which is kind of unfortunate that they're pitting two SEC teams together right off the bat. But I think when they met during the regular season, LSU won 2 out of 3 from Arkansas. So we'll see how it goes this time, but should be a lot of fun.
Will be a lot of fun. I got to watch probably the first 4 innings or 5 innings before sandpaper sleep pulled me away, but they definitely got a late start. But
right.
LSU jumped out pretty quickly. By the second inning was really in control.
Yep.
And they knocked that one of West Virginia's primary pitchers out early. I mean, he just was off his game, and he walked a bunch of them, and set up some nice long balls, and it was tough for him. I felt for him because you could tell he really wasn't feeling well. Sweat pouring off and holding his elbow, like maybe he already pitched, I forget, 60 some odd pitches in 2 innings, I think. So, it's just a lot of pitches in a short amount of time.
No question about it. So let's see. I think I got a soundbite queued up now with the head coach, Jay Johnson. Here's what he had to say after the game last night.
Yeah, something I take a lot of pride in is trying to have our team play its best when it matters the most. And I think one of the beauties about playing and coaching here is every game really matters. And we use the regular season and call it a 56-game playoff for 2 reasons. I mean, it's not a given that you're going to be in the NCAA tournament. You have to earn your way there, so you have to respect the game every night. But then when you get here, if you treat every game like that, nothing changes. And I take a lot of pride in we play our best when it matters the most.
Love that. We play our best when it matters the most. So, and it's about to matter even more coming up when they play in Omaha. So congratulations to LSU. And I know for LSU baseball fans, it's a great moment. I mean, what a program. 20 World Series throughout their history. That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. I don't know what the record is, but they're definitely, I think, in the top 7. And, everybody's disappointed if they don't make it out of the first round of the College World Series because there's just high expectations. And this year feels like they've got a good momentum.
Yeah, for sure. And the question has been for them, not so much their hitting. Everybody knows they have a pretty good hitting team, but whether they have the depth in terms of their pitching. They have 2 really good starting pitchers, and after that it gets a little dicey. But some of those younger guys are going to have to step up. And we saw that even during this super regional. So, of course, you can hear more about it coming up later today over on our sister station, KZMZ, with Tiger Talk with T-Bone and Bart Smokey. So make sure you tune into that if you want to get your fill of LSU sports and LSU baseball. So, all right, 442-8255 is the number on the BOM Bank Talk line. What do you think we'll talk about today? A lot of things kind of going on in the world, not least of which all the things that happened over the weekend in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that was on my top of my mind for, the Trump calling out the National Guard, or federalizing National Guard, first time since 1965. It's been done in our nation, first time since you and I were born.
Right.
When it happened. And, the political posturing on both sides of this, especially on those who are saying they're trying to blame Trump for making this bad. Yeah. But it was bad before.
Right.
I was watching, and I even sent you and Trish a clip from TikTok, which blew my mind. A friend had sent me a TikTok video. I watched it. I go to back out, and it takes me to the main page, and there are so many people live streaming on TikTok the riots over there. And I was telling you that, like, this is where their kids are getting our news, right? They're getting it from TikTok. We get it from X. But the chaos, and this is before the federalization, this is before the troops or anything, it was already bad. And so to blame that on Trump, and I think he kind of learned in, the last round when he was president, he's like, don't be slow in response. So get ahead of it. And when I think they burned 6 Waymo cars. They've destroyed several police vehicles. Even a reporter's vehicle was trashed and destroyed. And it's like they're non-respecters of anybody, just destroying everything.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it escalated, and it really just started with people trying to block the ICE officials from making arrests. Who they're going after primarily, first of all, are people that they know have criminal records,
right?
That shouldn't be in the country to begin with. But then on top of that, when you add in the fact that they have the criminal records with that, and it just sort of escalated from there, what we saw over the weekend. And it started with ICE officials being attacked driving down the street, and people throwing rocks off bridges, smashing. I mean, that can kill people.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you throw a rock off a bridge at a car going even 30 miles an hour, it becomes a weapon. And people have died from things like that. So, and unfortunately, the city of Los Angeles with Mayor Karen Bass, the state of California with Gavin Newsom, have really not been quick to help out on this. They've, as you mentioned, kind of more blamed Trump for creating chaos. But well, in any case, it's escalated over the weekend. And here's a clip of the Los Angeles police chief yesterday talking about, now that you have it kind of going fully inferno, what's going on with a lot of these protesters. Take a listen.
But when I look at the people who are out there doing the violence, that's not the people that we see during the day who are legitimately out there exercising their First Amendment rights and to be able to express their feelings about the immigration enforcement issue. These are people who are all hooded up. They've got a hoodie on. They've got face masks on. They're people who do this all the time, get away with whatever they can, go out there, from one civil unrest situation to another, using the same or similar tactics frequently, and they are connected. Some would call them anarchists or by any other variety of names, but they're people that we run across routinely city to city, and this is what they do. So even more disgusting that many of the people who are doing this come in from other places just to hurt people and to cause havoc.
And we've seen that sort of thing happen in riots and protests through the years, where it might start with a group of local people, but then it's like in no time, it's almost like roaches coming out of the wall or something. These professional paid protesters come to these cities and ramp it up even more. And that's what basically the police chief was saying is already occurring here. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see today what happens with everything. But even seeing a lot of clips on Twitter, a lot of the people that live there in California are fed up.
Yeah.
They're more supportive of what President Trump's trying to do, and they want these people out of there. So.
Well, last night around 8 o'clock our time, so 6 o'clock their time, LAPD declared it an unlawful assembly. And, that can bring a whole different level of response. And and shut down. But it was almost like too little, too late to do that. And the citizens who live there are the ones, like always, they're the ones who were most penalized by it.
Yes, exactly. You see businesses. I saw a clip yesterday, guy who was trying to hold the doors closed in his business for no particular reason. People were trying to break into it and loot it, and they got in, and that's what they did. And it's like, how is that a form of protest? That's not. That's just crime. You should go to jail for that. You need to be arrested and put in jail. So, of course, this was the talk yesterday on the Sunday shows. Chrissy Nome was on Face the Nation, and Margaret Brennan with her usual line of questioning. And sorry, what Nome had to say.
California's governor doesn't want the federalized system here. He says he's got it under control. There's no shortage of law enforcement. Gavin Newsom said he's called in California Highway Patrol. He says the Trump administration is seeking a spectacle here. He's saying to protesters, don't get violent, don't engage.
Well, if he was doing his job, then people wouldn't have gotten hurt the last couple of days. We wouldn't have officers with a shattered wrist from bricks being thrown through their vehicles being burned, flags being burned in the street, and Molotov cocktails being thrown. Governor Newsom has proven that he makes bad decisions. The president knows that he makes bad decisions, and that's why the president chose the safety of this community over waiting for Governor Newsom to get some sanity. And that's one of the reasons why these National Guard soldiers are being federalized, so they can use their special skill set to keep peace. We're not going to let a repeat of 2020 happen. And if you remember, it all happened in Tim Walz's state in Minneapolis, neighboring state, and a governor at the time. And Governor Tim Walz made very bad decisions and then tried to get the as governors to send our National Guard in to bail him out when he let his city burn for days on end.
So it's kind of like what you said, Nathan. Maybe President Trump has learned from what he experienced the first time.
Well, and that's the sensing of it. It's like, don't let this get out of control. To quote Barney Fife, nip it in the bud.
True. All right, we got some calls coming in. We want to take those. We need to take a quick break. We'll come back. More Talkback here on your Monday morning.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Walmart says consumer wallets are still stretched, but shoppers are still spending about the same as they did a year or two ago. But an executive told reporters that customers are focused on things like food and other essentials over non-essential items. Investors will be paying close attention today as Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference kicks off. The keynote address will be in the spotlight today. Our tech writer Mark Gurman says the event will do little to calm fears that Apple is lagging rivals when it comes to AI. Instead, the conference will focus on design and productivity enhancements with redesigned software interfaces for the iPhone and other devices, and Apple is making a major change to its software branding. Futures have been mixed this morning after stocks rose a little more than 1% across the board this past Friday after a better-than-expected jobs report. There are hopes that U.S.-China trade tensions are easing. The U.S. and China are set to resume trade negotiations in London today. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
This summer, the Raffies Parish Library is turning up the volume and getting all jazzed up. Whether you're a cool cat or a little bebopper, there's something happening every week at your local branch. Live performances, hands-on crafts, cool programs for kids, teens, and adults. And yes, plenty of reading, too. Shake off that summer slump and keep the whole family learning and creating and having a blast. Read what you love, track your minutes, and win prizes. Join the fun and get all jazzed up this summer at RPL.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talkline at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back on your Monday morning. Al Quartermont, Nathan Martin with you. And time for us to take some calls on the BOM Bank Talk Line, 442-8255. You know the number. And let's jump on those calls. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
You know, if they could basically arrest, 1,000 people from January 6th, just tracing cell phones and this, that, and the other, I don't understand why these rent-a-mobs can't be put under the jail.
Very good question. And you're absolutely right. They used that technology to see where people were at that moment. And a lot of people that just maybe walked through the Capitol spent months and months in prison without much due process. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from a law enforcement standpoint to a lot of these people that have been involved this weekend.
Yeah, well, apparently one of the guys they did arrest was a real bad actor who should have been deported before he ever got into that situation. But
sure,
assault, even if you throw a pebble at somebody, that's an assault.
Mm-hmm.
And as those who read the Bible may recall, David had a small pebble. I don't know how small it was, but allegedly was able to dispatch Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
So throwing anything at a law enforcement officer or any person is an assault.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, if you got 1,000 people standing around 100 people, it may be kind of difficult to make an arrest. But if you don't start basically putting people in jail, you've got a police state, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do we call what happened with basically the poor souls of January 6th?
Right.
It sounds kind of like starts with a G, state.
Yeah.
Refers back to something that happened in the 1930s and 40s.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like the kettle's calling the pot black.
Mm-hmm. Imagine that.
Yeah. Okay, well, for some reason, I thought you were going to have a new co-host today.
He starts next Monday. He's actually he's shadowing us here today. So, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, all right. Thank you for the call this morning. All right. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I see problems like this. I like to try to boil it down to first principles and think of it. This is another evidence that the Democrats are no longer American. They're no longer in favor of rule of law. What if these rioters won? What if Trump didn't send in the guard? We said, okay, we'll pull ICE out because you rioted, because you burned some businesses and cars and hurt some people. We will give you what you want. Then where does it stop? This is the very crux of the issue of rule of law. And to do anything but condemn the action of those violent rioters is to admit that you do not understand Republican government or constitutional government or anything but tyranny, because that's what this devolves into. Whether the tyranny is well-dressed people in the Democratic Party telling you who you can vote for and now who you have to switch and vote for, or whether it's these people saying, do what I want you to do or I'll throw a brick at your face. It's the same thing. It's rule by force. And history has proven that only hurts people. The only way people can live in peace and thrive as human individuals is through rule of law. So anyways, it's just a grand demonstration of the flaws of today's Democratic Party. Again, backing them up. Thanks. Let me peace. Y'all have a great day.
All right. Thank you for that. Appreciate the call. And, one thought I had, Nathan, is it also illustrates the continued failure of our Congress. The immigration issue has been lingering for years and years. Ironically, if you go back and look at sound bites from the 1990s, you see all sorts of people like Pelosi and Schumer and Obama decrying illegal immigration.
Right.
They were basically saying that it benefited the Republicans, especially those of whom were employing cheap labor along the border and things like that. Now here it's completely reversed, and it's the Republicans who are trying to deal, at least the president is, with illegal immigration. But the failure of Congress to do anything about this issue for better than 30 years is really a lot of the reason why we're here right now. And then it was exacerbated, the whole situation under the Biden administration, with the just complete surrender of our border to allow pretty much anyone and everyone to come in who wanted to. We don't know where a lot of these people came from. We don't know what they ultimately might try to be doing, especially people who have come from China. And you saw the videos where it would show streams of people coming in, and they were all military-age men coming from all over the world. Were they coming here just for jobs? Probably not. So, but here we are because Congress has failed to act. That once again, the president is trying to take the lead on this. And yeah.
Well, I have personally witnessed the caravans in Mexico.
I know you have.
You know, thousands and thousands. And what's interesting to me, my Mexican friends, they don't like it.
Nope.
You know, they're being trashed by it.
Yep.
And their question to me is, who is paying for all these people?
Mm-hmm.
Because these people have cell phones and they have food setups and transportation provided. Right. So that's behind. So here's a plausible scenario. It's estimated that there are over 4 million illegal aliens in California. The representation in Congress is dependent upon population, not registered voters, population, illegal or illegal.
Yep.
So the census says they have 4 million more people that need representation. How many people live in Louisiana? About 4 million. So we have the entire state of Louisiana illegally in California, the same equivalency. That means our representation is eliminated.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do 0 for 0, 1 for 1, California ends up with 5 more representatives, and it makes them more. I think that may be the game behind all of this.
Oh, no question about it. I mean, even states like New York have even essentially said that. There was one of the New York representatives, I think it was one of the representatives who was talking about that very fact. So, but it again to me points to like a lot of the issues in our country right now. We just have a Congress that does nothing, whether it's the economics conditions we're looking at or the social conditions, and then it comes down to presidents having to do executive orders. So I don't know, it's a mess, but it's a mess that's been created for a lot of years, and now you have President Trump trying to clean it up. ICE is doing its best, especially going after these known criminals. And then, it kind of took away the news on Friday. They flew back the guy from
Abrego.
Abrego. And then charged him with all these charges. Now you realize who this guy really is, who's always been portrayed as a Maryland father, quote unquote. You mean the guy that's a human trafficker, a sex trafficker, on and on and on. So
weapons, arms, and weapons trafficking. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So and all the Maryland man, right? And that's what a lot of this has been about. These false narratives that have been painted. Going back to Dave's comment, who called just a minute ago. Here's a Mark Levin quote from last night. He says, since 2020, this is really the only time in our history that I can think of where mayors and governors refuse to protect their citizens and cities from violent rioters and arsonists. He goes on to say, this is the modern Democratic Party and their media. The media has been complicit, the legacy media, if I can call it that, in pushing this narrative. And maybe it's more the idea of The View and those types of folks who are pushing this narrative. But Levin makes the point that Dave made. This is all a political theater, and I'm not calling it kabuki theater, but it's certainly theater designed to send a narrative. And it's really, you and I are not the intended recipients of that message. There's a lot of other folks that are trying to get that message too. And I hate to say it, but in America, we've kind of winked and nodded at illegal immigration for years.
That's true.
As long as it gave us cheap labor to pick our apples and our walnuts and our almonds and our avocados, well, we were okay with it. But now that's all the unintended consequences of policy.
Absolutely. All right, we need to take a break. More coming up. KSYL.
Hello, I'm Dr. Noah Miller. I'm the new guy at the clinics. I'm a family medicine physician from Vedring, Louisiana, and I'm now accepting new patients. Call today for an appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care, on-site lab and x-ray as well. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics. 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or reach us online at theclinics.us. Looking forward to seeing you at the clinics.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of Sinaloa's best at Bricato's Restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt-in-your-mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's Restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
From America's #1 travel radio show, I'm Mary Carey, and this is your RM World Travel Minute. Robert and I had a great trip to Virginia Beach last week, and if you missed it for any reason or you want to hear something again, our 2-hour live national broadcast of the weekend version of this show is now archived on our website under Recent Broadcast. Our team is also going to post a full recap of the entire Let's Go America tour of Virginia Beach on the website as well for you. There's quite a few photos of our travels for you to take a look at along with the broadcast. And I think Virginia Beach is more or less a year-round destination, but it is ideal for summer with its beaches, boardwalk, and vast array of music festivals and all kinds of entertainment attractions. If you're planning a trip and you have questions, or if you have comments about your own experiences in the Virginia Beach area, we'd love to hear from you. Just feel free to get in touch by using the Contact Us tab right on our show website at rmworldtravel.com. And since we've been asked, next up on the big Let's Go America tourist circuit is a cruise to Alaska. That's going to be with show fans this August, but I have to wrap this now, so more on that soon. And until the next time, everyone, happy travels.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talkback.
All right, Alan Nathan back once again, just continuing to talk about the situation in Los Angeles. I've seen several people on Twitter point out it's amazing how a lot of these protesters, these rioters, are waving the Mexican flag because they're protesting that they're being sent back to the country that they're flying the flag for. So if they love the country so much, why aren't they there?
Some people said that they're helping us by identifying where they should be sent to by showing whatever flag they're flying. But, you know, Mexico did own California at one time. It was called Alta California. You have Baja California. So Lower California and Upper California. But through treaties and whatnot, it's now part of the U.S. I have an interesting story. A friend of mine was from the state of Tamaulipas, from the city of Tampico, which is the southernmost city in Tampico. So it's about 5 hours into Mexico. When we were talking one day, he's like, man, I just can't stand Santa Anna. I just hate him. I'm like, well, why do you hate him so much? He said, well, he sold Texas to the United States. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know what to say. He goes, why didn't he sell Tamaulipas too? So I would have been an American. So I've always remembered his, playfulness with that. But that back and forth, California certainly has a strong Hispanic heritage.
Sure.
You can't deny that. But what's interesting to me has been the people who, there are many legal immigrants who are adamantly opposed to this stuff.
Yes.
Those who've waited in line, who paid their dues, who went through the background check, and who got their visa, their green card, or their papers the proper way, are some of the strongest ones speaking out and saying, wait a minute, you can't jump to the front of the line. You can't violate the system. There is a proper way to do it. Now, is the system difficult? Yes. I've talked about that before. Friends who I've tried to bring up, it's a very cumbersome system. And right now, in Mexico, it's a 2-year wait to get an appointment at the embassy unless you can get some dignitary to intervene and get you bumped up in line. But, so it is a difficult system. Hopefully we can streamline that. But that still doesn't mean you have a right to violate it and go around it.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, and again, we should have a sensible immigration system. Unfortunately, we don't. And so there are a lot of people that have waited years trying to do it the right way to get into the country. And you see people that have just taken advantage of a very weak government, especially the last 4 years. Those are the people that get the short end of the stick.
I think the biggest scene that I saw when Biden was finally announced as having won in 2020 was almost immediately the caravans began again. They had stopped from 2016 to 2019, but in 2020 or in 21, after he took office, the caravans were in full force. And it's just the messaging that's being sent. Look, we are a nation of immigrants, and there is a certain proper way to do it. But flooding the way it's been done, and all no vetting whatsoever. Some of these folks are very, very evil, wicked people. Not all. I mean, they would never say that. And that was where Trump, they sandwiched him as saying Mexicans are rapists. And no, he didn't say that. He said some are being sent that way. So there does need to be a good vetting system. I am very sympathetic to those who, I tell you, the ones I'm probably most sympathetic to are the DACA, the kids that were brought over when they were 1, 2, 3 years old.
Sure.
they had no say in that. Their families brought them. They grew up here.
Right.
And I'm grateful that we did have a process for resolving that issue. But man, the breaks through the windshield is not the way to resolve that.
No, for sure. Did you see the president of Mexico basically was calling on the illegal people to continue to kind of riot and protest?
No, I didn't see that.
I saw that somewhere. Maybe, maybe we can do some checking on that. But basically, the statement that she made sort of seemed to add fuel to the fire, which,
Well, I mean, Kamala Harris is calling for continued peaceful protests, and Mayor Bass is calling all Angelinos should continue to,
Right.
So,
yeah. Amazing, isn't it? So, all right, we'll take another break. More coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Did you know that 71% of all licensed real estate agents did not sell a single property in 2024? Hi, this is Trish Lala. When it's time to make the largest financial decision of your life, buying or selling a home, what's happening in the market really matters. The good news is you actually can still come out ahead if you place your trust in an agency with decades of experience handling all of those ups and downs. When experience matters, we're here for you. The Trish Lala Group.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
Now back to Talkback. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL.
All right, well, we got some time. Let's remind you that coming up tonight, 6 o'clock, Philadelphia Baptist Church community meeting to discuss carbon capture concerns in Rapides Parish. Meeting organizers intend to raise awareness and provide answers for citizens and taxpayers regarding the location of one of the largest carbon capture plants in the U.S., they say. This has to do with the proposed Sungas plant, which will be at the former Pineville Craft Paper Mill in Colleen. And you had the CEO of Sungas on. I thought that was a very good interview. Was that Thursday?
That was
Thursday? Friday. Okay, that's right. It was Friday.
It was Friday. Yeah, you and I swapped. Robert Rigdon, the president, and he came on. And originally he had asked to not take calls because he just wanted to kind of present the case. But then during our break, he said, no, I'll be happy to take calls. So we were able to work a couple of them in, and he handled them. I believe we're going to, they have made themselves available again this week to come in studio and take calls. And so that will be good. Tonight's going to be a very informative gathering. I plan to be there. You plan to be there. I'm curious to see how it's going to be laid out. There are 4x8 signs around DeVille. So there's money being invested in getting people out there. And so it's obviously very important to some. I don't know if it's outside people coming in. I did talk to a couple of the folks who are involved in leadership. They're very passionate about it. So I certainly take them at face value. But then you also wonder, I hate to use the term outside agitators, but you wonder sometimes who is kind of funding or pushing, paying for those big signs. And it may be the local folks believe that much in it. Maybe they did that. I don't know. But I want to go here. I did a lot of reading over the weekend. And I want to learn more about what the local plans are.
Yeah, speaking of reading, those of you that check out the Rapides Parish Journal, which is online, you can read their articles for free. I noticed the other day there was a letter to the editor from Gladys May Gunter Carmouche talking about what you should know about CCS, carbon capture and sequestration, CO2 in Louisiana. And then yesterday there was a response letter that was made by Desiree Lemoyne, who's the campaign manager for Industry Makes. And they have a website that you can check out as well. So I don't know if you had a chance to read either of those letters.
I read the first one. I didn't read the second.
Yeah. So this one that was sent as the response letter kind of takes on some of the talking points that Mrs. Gunnar Carmouche made, things about, what carbon dioxide is, the issue of eminent domain, which in the response letter, she says it's important to note the state of Louisiana must grant status to companies before any eminent domain authority can be used. And if a company must exercise eminent domain, it must first go to a court of law where the court will decide if it's indeed necessary. That authority has been granted by the state when a pipeline is deemed to be in public interest. The big companies themselves cannot arbitrarily take anyone's land. Another accusation was about property owners' minerals. Louisiana's mineral laws will always trump any right of way of eminent domain laws. She talks about that. She said Mrs. Gunnar Carmouche goes on to claim CO2 capture and sequestration will lead to more pollution. This woman claims it's the opposite, that it removes excessive molecules from the air, puts them back where they came from. Carbon capture is not the only tool being used to reduce emissions in Louisiana, and U.S. companies are also engaging in small nuclear reactors, solar-generated electricity, and more biofuel technology to help reduce emissions without causing a slowdown in production, which leads to supply chain issues globally. Let's see, what else? And then lastly, she said she wanted to address the claims of poison and other incidents that she cited through her Google search, as well as accusations against LDENR. Not sure what that is, but in any case, the most important thing your readers need to know, she writes, is that Lake Nyos, an incident back in 1986, was actually caused by a volcanic eruption. The Archer Daniels Midland incident that she refers to is a perfect example of a CCS Class 5 monitoring well doing what it was supposed to do to monitor for leaks. So anyway, you can go to the Rapides Parish Journal and read both of those letters if you want to kind of get both sides of the issue. And let's face it, there are strong opinions on both sides. A lot of people are, no matter what the evidence is going to be presented, no matter what the argument is that's going to be laid out, are not going to want this. And then you have people who are really wanting this because they realize how much economic this particular plant could have on central Louisiana, an area where, let's face it, we just don't have a lot of industry. So you kind of have two competing forces.
And I'm honestly still sitting on the fence trying to learn. I came into it, I'm very much in favor of the plant because I want the economic development.
Right.
I'm now seriously looking and want to hear, and I've just found the article that you talked about, the letter that was written by Desiree Lemoyne, and I need to spend more time looking at that because she gives kind of a counterpoint response. And I hope that's what we get tonight. I hope we get two sides of the story, and that everyone is allowed to speak and ask questions. And I think that's important. Dialogue is critically important.
For sure. All right, let's take some more calls here this morning. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
Good morning, gentlemen. Great to hear you. Happy Monday.
Thank you. Happy Monday to you as well, sir.
Could I put in a plug for a wonderful event coming up this Saturday?
Absolutely.
At 10 o'clock in the morning, I hope that everybody will be able to make it to the Pineville levee by the big flag, where we have our field of honor set up as of this weekend. And we will be dedicating that field at 10 o'clock, along with wonderful representatives of the city of Pineville and our Exchange Club of Central Louisiana, and lots and lots and lots of other supporters and friends and just interested folks.
That's great. Is it too late for people to purchase flags and that participate with that?
It honestly, it really is. But to be honest, we always sort of have extras. So if you just want to have a flag, we can absolutely do that.
That is an amazing event. I've been blessed to be at it in previous years, and there's something so beautiful about seeing those flags across the field there.
Yeah. Drive across the Jackson Street Bridge and see it. It's a wonderful thing. It really is. But we will keep the Saturday 10 o'clock. We will try to keep it all short. Mayor Bishop will have some talk. We'll have the pledge allegiance anthem, and of course, an invocation. It's just, we want to share with the community.
Sure.
It's a wonderful thing, and I'll try to get over my sunburn by then.
Sounds good. Saturday, what time?
Saturday, 10 a.m.
Great.
At the Pineville Levee, kind of right behind Glass Specialties, where the big flag is on the river.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you for the call this morning. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks. Thanks to one of our intrepid listeners. LDENR stands for Louisiana Department of Energy and Natural Resources. Most states it's DNR, so that E threw me off, Nathan. Let's get one last call on. You got about 40 seconds, caller. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. We're down the road. We're chasing the red sardine. You're talking about the process. It's not about the process. It's about the need for it. It's a non-organic business. It's created by the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the Green New Deal in disguise.
Yep.
And it's all a result of federal deficit handouts and grants. But the process is not the point. It's the fact that whether or not it's a real business. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, same caller called the other day and said that a lot of this is just a red herring. So again, people have very strong opinions. All right, well, we'll continue the conversation with you on the other side. We'll check in with what's going on down at the legislature and some other things. A lot more to talk about on a Monday here on Talkback. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting.
FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3, Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. It's quieted down in L.A. after a third night of mayhem involving anti-immigration raid protesters who clashed with police, set self-driving cars on fire, and shut down a freeway.
This is Elise Preston in downtown Los Angeles, where officers and National Guardsmen are standing by, blocking off streets as the sun comes up here in Los Angeles. This is the area, downtown Los Angeles, in front of the federal building, where violence erupted and continued throughout the day all the way into the early morning hours on Monday.
LA Police Chief Jim McDonnell.
This violence that I've seen is disgusting. It's escalated now since the beginning of this incident. What we saw the first night was bad. What we've seen subsequent to that is getting increasingly worse and more violent.
Legal contributor Jessica Levinson.
If things escalate, then we've been talking about whether or not the president would use the Insurrection Act. That would allow the National Guard much more power. They would go from a supporting role to a more aggressive role where they could potentially arrest, search, seize. They would act as domestic law enforcement.
Researchers and staffers at the National Institutes of Health are speaking out over policies they say undermine the mission they were hired to carry out. They've signed their names on a letter to their new Trump-appointed leader, citing a waste of public resources and harm to the health of Americans and other people around the world. A new round of trade talks between the U.S. and China getting underway in London. The BBC's Stephen McDonnell.
China wants better access to the software to make chips because in the future it wants to be independent in this area, and the US has been blocking China's access to these chips. What the US wants from China is better access to its rare earths to be used in, say, vehicle manufacturing.
Greta Thunberg and other activists were on an aid boat filled with food and baby formula bound for Gaza when Israeli forces seized the vessel for violating a long-standing blockade. Reporter Stephen Lindy's in Jerusalem.
Israel said it would return them to their home countries after forcing them to watch a video of the Hamas atrocities on October 7th, 2023. The aid ship, organized by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, included activists from Sweden, France, and Brazil.
Coco Gauff is back home after beating Aryna Sabalenka to become the first American to win the French Open since Serena Williams 10 years ago. Gauff tells CBS Mornings,
I definitely realized that I definitely belong where I am, and especially having consistent results. I think I proved that more and more each tournament.
S&P futures up 10. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I also appreciate unlimited talk and text and plenty of data for half the cost of the big guys, and I do like being on America's most dependable 5G network for just $20 a month. But what I really appreciate is no contract, no cancellation fees, and Pure Talk's commitment to handle all their customer service in this country. I saw it for myself. I went to Georgia, I got a tour of their headquarters, I met their CEO, and I talked to the same customer service folks that you'll talk to when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Switch today and save 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say keyword micro. Pure Talk, a wireless company that actually stands for something.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Colleen Crane. A bill to largely ban speed cameras across the state is on Governor Landry's desk. Monroe Republican Senator Stuart Cathy says he's happy that he got his bill across the finish line.
As my dear friend in the House, Representative Chuck Owen, said, this is taxation by citation, and so this practice will be outlawed here in the state of Louisiana.
Cathy's bill was thrown a curveball as the House passed an amendment to exempt Opelousas from the ban. AARP Louisiana is urging Governor Landry to veto Senate Bill 134, which would cap malpractice damages against nursing homes at $500,000. The organization says it would effectively eliminate the ability to hold nursing homes accountable for malpractice. Director of Advocacy, Andrew Mull, says nursing homes in Louisiana rank among the nation's worst.
Unfortunately, if the governor signed SB 134 into law, we will be making them even unsafer than they already are, and we'll be making them even worse.
LRN.
You too could have a beautiful smile in as little as 12 weeks. Exclusive to Today's Dental in Pineville, Virtual Align Clear Aligners. The fastest, most convenient, affordable way to straighten your teeth for people on the go. Plus, they're invisible. No one will know you're doing it. Experience the Virtual Align difference. Call Today's Dental at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Goche. 448-4540.
Good morning, our Monday. Starting out with clouds, we'll see gradual clearing throughout the day. We'll put in that chance of a stray shower thunderstorm as well, about a 25% chance. 91 will do it for the afternoon high. 72 tonight, we'll see an isolated shower thunderstorm after midnight. And then for Tuesday, partly cloudy skies. Again, a stray shower thunderstorm, a real possibility. Today's your forecast from the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center. I'm Dick Gratian, currently 71 degrees in Cenla.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
And we are back, everyone, with hour number 2 of Talkback here on your Monday morning. I'm Al Quartermont, along with Nathan Martin today. Glad you guys could be with us at 442-8255. All right, a story I've been saving for this hour. First, I read an article over the weekend in the Hayride, and now there's an update in the Advocate this morning. Let me start with the first article, because when you talk about the Louisiana Senate right now, which I call it the place where good conservative ideas go to die, which is sad because it's controlled by Republicans, at least in name. This one, though, just shook me to my core. The headline: Bill Cassidy's friends in the Louisiana Senate might be trying to rig his reelection for him. And this is written by the editor of the Hayride. He uses the pseudonym Maciod or something like that.
I can't pronounce that.
Yeah. Is Maciodh, Macoid? I don't know. But anyway, that's Scott McKay. So here, let me just read you the first part of the article, and then I'll give you the update. There is a bill going through the legislature right now, which they're calling unofficially the Omnibus Elections Bill, HB 592, authored by Bo Bolio. Most of what's in there are minor changes to the state election code, the kinds of in-the-weeds things that don't really amount to public policy, but are rules governing how the Secretary of State's office runs our elections. HB 592 sailed through the House 75-16 without a whole lot of controversy. Now it's moving through the Senate reasonably easily as well. But something happened 3 weeks ago when the bill was making its way through the Senate and Governmental Affairs Committee, which has people concerned in advance of Sunday or Monday when it's expected to hit the Senate floor. It actually was yesterday. Here's the link of the full video of that committee meeting he has in the article. And then he has a clip where it was announced by Chairman Senator Caleb Kleinpeter, which was advertised to save the state some $3.2 million every couple of years. Hey, we don't want to save money for the state, right? Sounds good. Only here's how he's proposing to do it. Listen to this clip.
And we're going to delete B and C, which deals with the second election of a closed primary. So we're just going to have one. We're just going to have A. On page 35, line 5, we're deleting A, period. And then we're deleting lines 10 through 29. And on page 36, we delete lines 1 through 7.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to follow. So it would.
So, yeah, we're all trying to follow. Essentially what it is this. He's proposing to get rid of the runoff in the closed party primaries that they just passed last year. So remember, when we have this election next year in which Senator Cassidy is presumably running for re-election, for the first time, in I think a long time, I'm sure it's the last time was, we've gone away from the open primary for this federal race, and it'll be a closed primary, meaning that in the primary, Republicans will vote for only the Republican candidates, Democrats will vote for only the Democratic candidates, independents, you're out of luck, but no party can vote.
There you go.
Can still vote.
In one or the other.
Right, in one or the other. But what this is basically saying would be, instead of the normal 50+1 that you have to get to win any election, if they eliminate the runoff, that means whoever finishes first, let's say theoretically there are 10 candidates that jump in the Republican primary, and the highest amount of vote total is 13%, and it's Bill Cassidy, he would win.
That's right. Because he split the rest, and the leader of the pack gets it. King of the hill.
You could see in the video, Bolio was taken aback by the amendment, but he signaled he was anything but happy about the idea. Kleinpeter withdrew the amendment upon being presented with the fact that there would be complications around that change. So anyway, there's an update in the Advocate this morning. Article written by Tyler Bridges says the state capitol was abuzz with talk Sunday that the Louisiana Senate could try to make a last-minute change to a campaign law to help Senator Bill Cassidy win re-election next year. The idea was to eliminate the second primary under the closed primary system in federal elections that begin next year. With the change, a candidate could win, what we just said, a primary outright with a plurality and would not have to get the over 50% of the vote. Political analysts believe Cassidy could run first in the primary with a multi-candidate field that would split the conservative vote but have trouble defeating another Republican head-to-head in the second primary. Two legislators said Cassidy called to discuss the matter with them. In the end, the Senate made no such attempt Sunday, but the behind-the-scenes discussions provided more evidence of the intense interest in whether Cassidy can overcome Republican opponents next year to win a third term. The talk about the possible change began after Senator Caleb Kleinpeter, who's a Republican from Port Allen, asked 3 weeks ago during a committee hearing on House Bill 592 whether the state could save money by eliminating that second primary. The answer, about $3 million per election. But Representative Bo Bolio, Republican from New Iberia, sponsor of the bill, expressed his opposition to the idea. that day and repeated the opposition in an interview yesterday, saying eliminating the second primary would have collateral impacts on the new election system. He said he received numerous phone calls over the weekend from other legislators about the idea. Representative Julie Emerson from Karen Crow, Republican, said the sponsor of the legislation that passed last year to move to the closed primary said in an interview she is 100% opposed to the change. She sponsored that last year. Klein-Peter said in an interview he had no interest in pushing the amendment. He's handling Bolio's bill in the Senate. Klein-Peter said that Cassidy didn't call him. Word that Klein-Peter might be pushing the change prompted a lobbying effort by Republican women, including Gina Gore, who's the party's national committee chairwoman. She said, I don't think it benefits the Republican Party. Let's give Republicans a chance to elect the person the majority feels is the best opposition. So it looks like that thing is dead. But why was it even suggested? You know? Goodness.
Well, that's the maneuverings and shenanigans that go on behind the scenes. You know, we're doing it for this reason, but there's another ulterior motive over here on that side. Yeah. By the way, is that Gina Gore? That's our local Gina Gore?
I believe so.
Yeah, she's definitely making waves.
Yeah.
Big time. Well, it's interesting now. It can still happen on the floor, and that's where people will be watching it. But with the opposition from Value and Klein-Peter and the original author, I don't think it would get much traction.
Yeah, it sounds like. And then I had actually communicated with one of our local representatives, and he said he didn't think that the House would vote to pass that. So hopefully it's dead. But just, again, the fact that it was even being proposed or discussed, what is going on with some of these people down there, you know?
Well, and that's hats off to Scott McKay at the Hayride for picking up on that. And you know, if you don't bring light to things, people don't know about it. So you bring the light, and people can see, even if it was a non-ulterior motive, it brings it out to the communication or to the public for communication. Cassidy, we enjoy having him on. He calls in frequently. He's a very cordial guest. He makes himself available. His staff has always been responsive. But I can tell you the callers don't. I mean, they often are pretty clear that they're not Cassidy fans.
Well, and usually when we post, a graphic the day before of who we're having on the show that Cassidy's going to be on, there will always be at least one negative comment.
Right.
Why having this guy? So, of course, he lost a lot of the support around the state when he voted to convict President Trump of trying to incite a riot on January 6th when he was still president.
I'm proud of you for using the right terminology. He didn't vote to impeach. He voted to convict.
Right.
Well said, sir.
Thank you.
As a newsmaster meister.
I actually read it in the article.
Well, I was going to give you credit for that because I just knew you were on top of stuff. People, we interchange, but the House impeaches, the Senate convicts.
That's true. That's true.
Just take the credit.
And as the article notes, Cassidy's been working hard to make amends, speaking to groups throughout the state, raising millions of dollars, supporting controversial cabinet nominees. I'm sure they're referring to RFK Jr. there, winning the support of prominent Republican donors and trumpeting his visits to the White House for meetings with Trump, which when he's been on the show the last couple times, he's been sure to mention that, including supporting the one big, beautiful bill. So, all right, we got a call coming in. Let's go ahead and jump on that. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, I am actually 100% neutral on Cassidy.
Neutral? Okay. Thank you, Switzerland.
There you go. So, I don't know. I don't really get caught up in the politics of this stuff. I know most people do, but I learned the older I get, I really don't. Politics doesn't really. I really care less about it.
You're saying, well, you really couldn't care less, is what you're saying.
Right. There you go.
Okay. So you are claiming to be our one apolitical listener and caller, then.
Yeah, I listen for the sports. So.
Okay.
But another thing, it's I guess I would like to know what you think about Skeens. The crazy thing about his low ERA and low wins, and also have a prayer request. I know both of y'all are men of the word.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Skeens first. His ERA right now is second in the National League. I think it was 1.18 last I checked. And then he shut out the Phillies yesterday. amazingly, the Pirates swept the Phillies over the weekend. The Phillies just a couple of weeks ago had the best record in the National League, and then the Brewers came in and swept them, and they've been kind of struggling ever since. People are joking that Skeens is going to win the Cy Young Award this year with 6 wins and a below 1 ERA because the Pirates never support him with runs when he pitches. And then, of course, you also have the talk out there already starting that they might end up trading him, but I don't see them trading him at least for a few years until he gets closer to his free agency term. So, but, in arbitration, he may get a lot more money. But if the Pirates can't even pay him as great a pitcher as he is, like, what are they even doing as a franchise?
Yeah. I don't know. I would say filling seats, but look at the attendance.
That's true. Well, I mean, they have one of the most beautiful ballparks in all of baseball. Although it seems like every time the Brewers play them, there's at least a rain delay, once a game. It's unbelievable. They should have had a dome stadium. But I hated for him that he's on such a mediocre team. And we've seen other pitchers like that. I remember it was 1973, I believe, when Steve Carlson won like 27 games and the Phillies only won like 60 that whole year. So he won almost half their games. Crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay, what's your prayer request then?
Yeah, my daughter is going to get her license today.
Is that a prayer request for her or for all of us?
Probably especially for me. It's she's in my pocketbook. I haven't checked. I got to check with my insurance agent later on.
You need to check with that before she goes. Yeah, she might change her mind.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's
fortunately your legislature's working hard to bring that down for you.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see what happens with that. So I don't. Nathan, didn't you say you delayed your son getting his license?
Well, I have told them it will be delayed. He's 15. He'll be 16 in August.
Yeah.
And I've told them it's not going to happen. No, I can't afford it. Not right now.
Yeah.
We'll see after the session. I mean, you made the comment about the legislators working hard. I think they have worked hard. I need to see the fruit of it because I'm telling you, these 3-digit.
Are you insinuating I said that tongue in cheek?
I have no words.
Well, hey, at least now the insurance commissioner can lower rates.
That's right. And, it's up to him. He can do it. He can do it all. One-man show. One-man band. Well, we appreciate it. I tell you, thanks for that update there on your daughter. Best wishes to her and to your family as well. May you never get that panic phone call. Hey, Dad, I got in a wreck.
Yeah, I hope not. There's some few sounds that she's kind of scared me driving. One time we stopped for about, I told her one time she didn't drive with me for 2 months because she tried to, she was at a parking space pulling into it and cut off the car. She got in the parking space. So what are you doing? You said why are you turning the car off before you even get to the parking space? So it was about 2 months before she got in with me again driving. So it's I'm hoping it only $200 increase is all I get. We'll see what it is.
Only
because we pay $279 right now. So if it's $200, I can live with it. $200 extra. I've already prepared myself. I'll have to see. So if I say it's $200 and I can live with it, then if it's lower than that, I'm all happy.
We'll be looking for an update with bated breath.
Yeah.
Make sure you call us later in the week and let us know how much it was.
Guess I need to apply for a job over at the Baptist building.
You can afford that.
There you go. I told her she has to drive. And I told her she has to she's going to be paying for car insurance and gas money, a portion of car insurance and some of gas money. So.
All right.
Well, now let me point out, it may not be as much if you're just adding her to an existing vehicle and she doesn't have her own assigned vehicle.
That's true. She does, that'll be a little while before
what killed me. Put my daughter with her as the assigned primary driver.
Sure. Oh, gosh. Yep. All right. Thanks for the call, my friend. We need to take a break. More coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Blended families, bonus children, and co-parenting can bring amazing experiences, but it can also be overwhelming and complicate your estate plan. How can families navigate the process when entering into this wonderful journey? I'm George Fine with Fine Legal Services. When it comes to your family's questions, our team can make planning for the future seamless and transparent. Call your Alexandria, Louisiana attorneys, George Fine and Jeremy Cedars, at 318-767-2226 to learn more, or visit fine-lawyers.com.
LSBA number LA2316294.
Craig's Cleaners is now looking for some good employees. In particular, Craig's is looking for people with cashier experience and who have a valid driver's license. It's a pretty sweet job, too. Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. with no weekends. Wow. That's right. Here's your chance for every weekend off. Wow. So if you're interested in working for Craig's Cleaners, please apply in person at Craig's main location at 1746 Elliott Street, Alexandria.
If you're a woman, talk to your doctor by age 25 about your risk of getting breast cancer. More women under 40 are getting breast cancer, and these cancers are often more deadly. The American College of Radiology recommends you ask your doctor if you should get a mammogram before age 40, need other tests like an MRI with your yearly mammogram, or if at high risk should be checked more than once a year. For more information, visit mammographysaveslives.org.
We're Sinlaw Broadcasting, local radio doing local public service.
The Exchange Club of Central Louisiana is a group of men and women working together to make our communities better places to live through various service programs, namely youth activities, Americanism, community service, and the Exchange Club's national project, the prevention of child abuse. The name Exchange was selected because the group wanted to exchange ideas and information with other like-minded individuals. Learn more at nationalexchangeclub.org.
This has been a public service reminder from Sinlaw Broadcasting.
Colorectal cancer is the leading cancer killer in men under 50 and the second leading cause of cancer death for women under 50. The American College of Radiology urges you to get screened starting at age 45. Now, Medicare and insurance companies are required to cover not only colonoscopy, but less invasive exams like virtual colonoscopy. Talk to your doctor about your options. For more information on virtual colonoscopy, visit radiologyinfo.org/virtual-CT.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talkline at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
All right, and let's go back to the phones. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
I intend to vote for Cassidy.
I'm sorry. You're going to vote for Cassidy?
Absolutely. And the reason I'm going to do that is because he's intelligent, he's knowledgeable, and he's more and more influential in D.C. And we need politicians to vote, make the right vote. Well, I don't know if it's the right vote or not, but he chose to do it, and he knew that he was willing to take the heat for it, and he thought it was the right thing to do. We need politicians to vote the right thing, not vote what their supporters want.
Now, see, some people might argue that you should vote what your supporters want. You're representing them.
No. Support. The people are selfish and they want their own interest, regardless of anything else. And they'll do anything to get what they want. We need politicians to do the right thing. We need, like, if we had politicians that would do the right thing, we wouldn't have all this debt, and you wouldn't have this super depression that's on the way.
Now, I will say this: Cassidy voted for the Inflation Reduction Act, which actually increased inflation. So,
right. He's doing what Trump wants him to do, because if they cut that spending that's the type of economy we have. If they cut spending that depression is going to be here.
Right, you're talking
maybe
about.
Maybe they're not ready for it.
I'm referring to the bill under Joe Biden that he voted for.
Well, if they cut spending that depression is going to show up, and there's going to be a lot of dead people for that reason.
Okay, well, that's definitely our first on-record Cassidy supporter, so we're going to give you credit for that. All right, he's gone. Let's take another call. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
Yeah, Cassidy's in the pocket of pharma, big pharma. On May 21st, there was a video. Bernie Sanders proposed legislation to force drug companies to hold down the price of drugs. Mm-hmm. Well, Cassidy got up. Cassidy quashed that bill. And he got up there and he repeated that tired old lie that drug companies have to charge so much because of all their research and development costs. I sent him a really nasty email. I told you, I called about that before. But anyway, I told him, I said, you're an abject liar. I said, you know very well that drug companies spend significantly more on research, on marketing than they do on research and development. They spend, on average, over twice what they spend on research and development. And that doesn't include, I guess, lobbying and campaign contributions to corrupt, lying POS politicians like yourself. You look on Abe Open Secrets, he's gotten like $750,000 campaign contributions from drug companies. I mean, he's just lying. He got up there and he gave Tagamet as an example of how it ended peptic ulcer disease. Well, Tagamet helped to a point. The real game changer was the discovery of H. pylori. That's what changed that problem with peptic ulcer disease. He's just a lion snake in the grass.
So we have one who's definitely not voting for him again.
Yeah, I think we're fairly clear on that.
Yeah.
He's just a scumbag. He's a worm. He lies. Interestingly, our sheriff came out endorsing Cassidy.
Grant Parish, yeah.
And I'm not sure I'm sure Cassidy got him some kind of grant money or something, big grant money or something. That's why the sheriff. I mean, I support the sheriff, and I haven't had an opportunity to talk to him about it, but.
Yeah, I read the comments on a couple of posts about him doing that, and I did not see one positive comment about his decision to do that. So, yeah, I think the sentiment largely by the public is pretty anti-Cassidy right now.
All right. Hey, closer to home. Did y'all hear about the big shootout they had in Cheneyville Friday night?
I did see that.
I saw
that. Yeah.
I don't know if was that connected with the Juneteenth or that was totally separate. Connected?
I don't know, because Juneteenth isn't for another week or so, right?
They had announced like a celebration. I didn't know if it was an early party or not. And this happened right near the town hall, if I recall.
Yeah, it was Friday night around 10 o'clock near Cheneyville Town Hall. RPSO says 5 people and 4 vehicles were shot. All of the victims were treated for injuries at local hospitals. Fortunately, nobody died from it, but they're still looking for evidence and witnesses and things like this. They said at this time, no witnesses have come forward. Imagine that. But, all right, my friend, thank you for the call today. We appreciate you. All right, we need to take a break. More coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Walmart's credit cards will once again be issued by Synchrony Financial. Sources tell Bloomberg News that OnePay, a financial tech firm backed by Walmart, has picked Synchrony to issue both a co-branded card that can be used outside of Walmart as well as a private label card that will be available just for purchases at the retailer. A major merger in the computer chip industry, Qualcomm has agreed to buy London-listed chipmaker Alphawave IP for about $2.4 billion in cash. Alphawave makes technology that can be used for data centers and AI applications. Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference starts today, and our tech writer Mark Gurman says a new software design style will be at the center of the event. He says that the new interface elements are called liquid glass, which will set the stage for fresh hardware products, including a 2027 iPhone that will be overhauled to commemorate the product's 2-decade anniversary. Futures are higher. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
It's Macy's Friends and Family Sale, which means if you're shopping for summer, you can get insider deals on our best brands, even ones that aren't usually on sale, like an extra 30% off Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, Levi's, and more. Plus, get 15% off beauty and fragrance. And with Father's Day just around the corner on June 15th, it's a great time to shop for Dad. Stop by Macy's today and walk out with the perfect gift. Don't miss Friends and Family. Ends Monday, only at Macy's. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know to check you have your phone first, before the cab pulls away.
Hey, thanks, man. No, wait, my phone, come back. It's my boarding pass, credit cards, phone numbers, my life, come back.
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hello, Louisiana Problem Gamblers Helpline. How can I help you?
I think I need help for my gambling. I'm losing everything that's important to me because of it.
Gambling help is available. If you or someone you know are struggling with gambling, there's free help and support for you. Call 877-770-STOP or chat online at helpforgambling.org. Take the first step toward recovery today.
A message from Israel Air Conditioning and Heating.
Yeah, my mama, she told me to pick up and call Israel Air.
She told me Israel Air. She told me.
She said they'll come running with comfort beyond compare.
And a very fair price.
Because you know we're all about your comfort, no troubles. Call 442-6657. That's 442-6657. We're all about your comfort,
Good morning, our Monday. Starting out with clouds, we'll see gradual clearing throughout the day. We'll put in that chance of a stray shower, thunderstorm as well, about a 25% chance. 91 will do it for the afternoon high. 72 tonight, we'll see an isolated shower, thunderstorm after midnight. And then for Tuesday, partly cloudy skies. Again, a stray shower, thunderstorm, a real possibility. And as your forecast from the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center, I'm Dick Grayson. Currently 73 degrees in Cenla.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part of the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Remember when Rush Limbaugh used to do like a breaking news update? He'd be like, like kind of like supposed to be like a news alert sound. Anyway, I have a news update for our friend Cornelius. Apparently his phone is not able to call in again.
Oh,
That's
no.
what I was told. He was calling in for a while, but now it's not calling in, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But he's been asking us a lot about those 4 bills that were introduced in this legislative session that all pertain to the city of Alexandria. I did an update about 10 days ago, but I saw that the Rapides Parish Journal had another update yesterday, and they said 2 bills that are Alexandria related, among 4 that ruffled some feathers, are now law, and 2 are awaiting the governor's signature as the legislature winds down its regular annual session. By the way, the session ends Thursday at 6 o'clock. The bills were drafted at the city's request though some council members were not directly informed, nor are they required to be. Representative Jason DeWitt's measure relative to the use of city court revenue for clerk compensation is Act 74 of this year. Senator Jay Luno's measure exempting certain proprietary information from public record access is Act 31, and both become effective August 1st. Awaiting the governor's signature, bills by DeWitt and Representative Mike Johnson. Johnson's was sent to Landry June 3rd. After final passage, it would exempt from Alexandria civil service employees in computer, IT, and related systems security jobs, a wrinkle considered necessary in the competitive market for such skills. And this really does relate to the cyber attack that the city experienced a few years ago. DeWitt's deals with classified police appointments. Basically, I think it removes the requirement that they have to go by seniority first. There can be other things that are factored in. So that would provide for vacancies to be filled by one of the 5 eligible officers highest in department seniority. So not just the next on the list, but one of the next 5 on the list. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's going to got any support from like the FOP or police organizations that typically prefer the way it's always been, seniority. You know, you pay your dues, you work your way up the ranks. There have been some exceptions to that with things like specific appointments. I know it was permitted with a deputy chief process where when you initialize that deputy chief, you could choose from those who had the highest scores. It didn't have to be the highest score, but this makes it more sweeping. So I don't recall if that had been endorsed. I thought I heard it was opposed by the FOP, but interesting. So the one about the IT group though kind of made sense when Mike explained it at NRBIA that the need to move more quickly to respond to these kinds of issues. I'm certain that most employees who have civil service protection want to keep civil service protection, but that particular area does definitely need some flexibility. It appeared like, and Mike, Representative Johnson made the comment that they each have 5 non-fiscal bills to file, and I think it's not uncommon for, if you haven't filed, use all of them for you to work with someone else that needs help. So that's how he did it.
They get 5 bills that aren't budget related.
Correct.
If they have bills that are budget related, they can have, I think, as many as they want.
I think it's unlimited,
session. So that's my understanding.
Right. And so y'all did the math last week. You talked about, X number of, like 105 representatives and 39 senators times 5. That's a lot of discretionary bills in a non-fiscal session. So,
right, exactly. So session ends Thursday. This is when it gets interesting, as we've seen. You never know what could be snuck in there at the last minute.
I know they're tired, dude. That's a long haul. Well, if you think about it, they did a ton of work before session. Had a lot of committee meetings before session.
Especially the guys working on insurance. Yeah, absolutely. So, and, the fruit of that was was it like 24 bills that they were trying to get through? And it looks like only about 5 will make it through.
And I heard, Representative Johnson had the governor on record saying, you pass them, I'll sign them. The one that most of us think is not the best is that Temple, that given the authority to the insurance commissioner. It seems like it's setting him up to be the fall guy for lack of success. But others have said that other states have similar provisions. I don't see him making decisions that are not appropriately sound. You can't make a decision that's not based on an actuarial table. If a company shows you, hey, we're losing money, we have to do this rate change, how do you turn that down? But if he does approve an increase, then does he become the fall guy, the bad guy, even though it was fiscally necessary?
Good question. Yeah. So, all right, we'll take another break. More coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
For over 35 years, Security Metal Roofing has been Cenla's trusted name for metal buildings and roofing. When it comes to the highest quality materials at rock-bottom prices and top-tier service, nobody does it better. And don't worry, great prices doesn't mean cutting corners. Our Cool Chemistry color sheeting comes with a 40-year warranty, plus the peace of mind that comes with a team that has over 150 years of combined experience. From sheeting and red iron to roll-up doors and insulation, you get more for your money at Security Metal Roofing. Whether you need a new roof, carport, or are building your dream shop, we're here to help every step of the way. Apples to apples, we won't be undersold. And that's a guarantee. Call 445-0223 for your quote today. Or visit us at Security Metal Roofing on Masonic Drive in Alexandria. Or online at securitymetalroofing.com. Security Metal Roofing, your local experts in metal roofing and buildings, where quality, service, and price come together.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
Feel like no one really gets you and what you're going through? Louisiana 988 can help. The free confidential helpline has specialists who focus on serving the LGBTQ+ communities, connecting you to local resources, or just offering a listening ear. Share as much or as little as you want. Most people who reach out report feeling better right in the moment. It's free, confidential, and available 24/7. Text or call 988 anytime.
I truly believe, just as God assigns angels to us,
It's the unknown.
I think the devil, and he puts a vulgar twist on it,
It's the unexpected.
I think he assigns demons to us.
It's the unbelievable.
And when those demons are assigned, they get to know everything about that person.
Coast to coast AM, late nights.
As crazy as that may sound, I truly believe there's something to it.
Overnights, it's Coast to Coast AM on Talk Radio 970 KSYL.
Teachers are diverse, skilled leaders, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Teaching shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
Talkback. To take part of the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
All right, we are back on Talkback, 442-8255 on the BOM Bank Talk line. Let's go to the phones again. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I'm sure, like, I'm a staunch Republican. I'm sure that there's some staunch Democrats listening. I want to know if one would call in and justify their stance on abortion, immigration, transsexuals in sports, so forth. Just give their opinion. I'd really like to know what their thoughts are.
Mm-hmm. We had a young man that was calling for a while who took more of the Democratic stance on things, but he hasn't called in a long time.
We called him FedEx. Well, he picked up the moniker FedEx Sam to answer UPS Dave.
Yeah.
Obviously, his name wasn't Sam, but he did call often and would appreciate him. In fact, I was thinking about him over the weekend, and I had the same question you did. I was thinking about the big Simone Biles, Riley Gaines pushback over the weekend. And Simone Biles, who has been such an advocate for women in sports, to now come out and be in favor of trans athletes in women's sports was really mind-blowing to me. And I even thought about FedEx Sam to ask him, help us understand the reasoning behind that. What is the end game of that, other than perhaps to destroy uniqueness of male and female, or I don't understand.
You're beyond me on this one. And then you've got the immigration riots in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
And you got all these Democrats and like Newsom who are supporting the rioters. I just don't, I'm sorry. I'm older than dirt. I'm so old, I gave them the recipe for water. So, I don't understand all of this.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, thank you very much, and God bless both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the call this morning.
I appreciate his perspective. And Al, you think about, it's just a good question. What is the rationale behind that? And now that some of these things have been turned around, I'm sure you heard that U.S. Army has beat their recruitment goals.
Right.
4 months before the end of the year, they've already passed their annual goals. And they're saying they may even be at 50% above goals.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff is taking some of the transgender stuff away from implementation, DEI stuff.
Yeah.
So if common sense, does that not speak to most of Americans that stuff is fringe?
Right. No question about it. And you mentioned the whole Biles Riley Gaines thing. So what precipitated this was that there was a softball team, I believe in Minnesota, that won the state championship. And their pitcher is a boy pretending to be a girl.
Right.
Who thinks he's a girl. Well, look, in a sport like softball, again, the male physique, strength, and speed, especially for a pitcher. I mean, there are some fantastic female pitchers out there.
Right.
You've seen videos of women striking out Major League Baseball players with their softball pitching. But it's a decisive competitive advantage. And Riley Gaines said she noted that when the team posted their picture as state champions, they turned off the comments.
Right.
You can't comment on it. She said, comments off, LOL, to be expected when your star player is a boy. To which Simone Biles posted, you are truly sick. All of this campaigning because you lost a race. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports, maybe a transgender category in all sports, but instead you bully them. One thing's for sure, no one in sports is safe with you around. Now, Biles, by all accounts, is done with her athletic career. It's kind of like Megan Rapinoe, the soccer player. She's taking a similar stance once her career was done. But no men took away their medals. In fact, people did some digging and they found an old tweet where essentially Simone Biles said, I'm sure glad that men aren't competing in gymnastics or they would win all the medals. That was sort of like 2017.
2017, yep.
Yeah. So Gaines has fought back and shot back, saying this is so disappointing. My take is the least controversial take on the planet. Simone Biles being a male apologist at the expense of young girls' dreams. Didn't have that on my bingo card. Maybe she could compete in the pommel horse and rings in 2028. And then Biles shot back, said, bully someone at your own size, which ironically would be a male. So Simone Biles is somebody that has engaged in the campaigns for not body shaming women, and she's body shaming this women because they disagree over the issue of trans males working in sports or competing in sports.
Well, and then Biles' own words gets used against her because obviously a few years ago she was on the other side of the issue.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly.
That back and forth has been, there have been people calling for Biles. She's a spokesperson for certain platforms that she may not be the spokesperson for after this. We'll see.
Right. So it's just kind of odd that Biles chose this moment to take that stance. So,
and that goes to I brought it up because I don't understand the reasoning behind it. There's got to be an ulterior motive to pushing this narrative.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's just purely for virtue signaling or what it is, but Clay Travis posted, man, I will pay one of you $250,000 to play in the WNBA if you're able to make a team. I will also pay any of you who are able to qualify for one of the women's tennis majors $250,000, and I'll pay you $250,000 if you can make the U.S. women's soccer team. Get to work, challenge you. So I remember a couple years ago, he offered $1 million for the Las Vegas Aces, the WNBA champions, to play any state high school boys championship team in a game, and he would give both teams $1 million, and the Aces wouldn't take him up on that. So, yeah, interesting. But all right, we need to take a break. We'll come back with some calls.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
The clinics welcome Dr. Noah Miller, family medicine physician, to our team. Dr. Miller from Vadrine, Louisiana, is now accepting new patients. Call today to schedule your appointment. The clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care with on-site lab and x-ray. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the clinics, 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or look us up online at theclinics.us.
In Sinlaw, keeping your lawn looking great can be a real challenge. And that's why folks have been choosing our locally owned and operated company, Promo Fencing and Lawn Care. Promo can also be your local choice for fence installation and new landscape installs. They're real pros about it too, offering free estimates and financing for those bigger jobs, residential or commercial. Bring your vision to life with Promo Fencing and Lawn Care. Call 318-452-6265.
Cinela Broadcasting is local, so we promote the locals.
Beneath a canopy of mighty oaks, towering cypress trees, and colorful bamboo, discover over 500 remarkable animals from all over the world. The Alexandria Zoo is the area's largest year-round family attraction. Come explore a natural world filled with hoots, howls, and roars, right here in the heart of Central Louisiana. Learn more about it or volunteer at thealexandriazoo.com.
This has been a public service reminder from Cinela Broadcasting.
Time out. All right. Remember, we're a team that plays together. Listen, the winning will take care of itself. We just have to get everyone involved.
In interscholastic sports, we celebrate what makes every one of us unique. And in the pursuit of a common goal, everyone in the huddle, in the bleachers, and in the community comes together. This message presented by the LHSAA and the Louisiana High School Athletic Directors Association.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. As an actor and a director, I attend a lot of screenings. But there's one that's different. It's important, and it could save your life. A lung cancer screening. You know, I lost my mom to lung cancer when she was just 68 years old. Screenings help diagnose lung cancer early when it's most treatable, even curable. A quick low-dose CT scan is all it takes. Go-To for lung cancer is your go-to. Visit go2.org.
Freedom from drug addiction happens in NA meetings. It is possible to stop using drugs, and they can help. Call Narcotics Anonymous at 1-585-DON'T-USE or visit their website at larna.org for more information.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
Back on Soft Hits 970. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Good morning. You know, there's only one reason for the small vials to come out and take this. That's because somebody's pushing her to do it. So she can look, or she's wanting to look, cool or something.
Maybe so. I mean, the impact of social media where the virtue signaling carries the day, maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But, I mean, it's unfortunate for Biles because I think she's hurt her brand by doing this. Although the mainstream media like USA Today, they're applauding her for standing up for trans rights. Oh, man.
Well, I mean, look, being gay is easy to understand. That's just a matter of sexual preference. I mean, being a straight person, I don't really completely understand it, but it's not difficult. But trans people are pretending to be something they're not. A man can never be a woman. He can only imitate one. So, right. And the biology is there. Now, I mean, sure, we've got hermaphrodites. They're exceedingly rare. True in it. And this is decided. By the way, you said Rapinoe. I don't know. Is it Rapinoe or Rapino?
One of those. Yeah.
Yeah. She knows darn good well. She wouldn't make. Now she's probably one of the best women's soccer players in the world, or was. Mm-hmm. She and Abby Wambach.
Right.
Both of them are gay. That's fine. But neither one of them would make the top 100 men's world soccer players.
No.
And they know it.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a Messi or a Ronaldo. We're talking just your top 100.
Right. Right. I mean, in any sport.
It's dishonest.
Yeah.
This is absolutely dishonest.
Yeah. And then, the thought that, like what Riley Gaines and the other women had to endure was the guy who calls himself Leah Thomas and dressing before them in the locker room. Do you want that for your daughters? I don't.
And he's not gay. He has a girlfriend. And he's still got his equipment. Yeah.
Now you're getting into layers I can't even fathom.
So. Look, you can't even convince me you're trans unless, as a guy, you remove the equipment.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're spreading a bunch of BS. We used to list it as a mental illness, but I see that the American Psychiatric Association is no longer doing that.
Imagine that. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for the call. You too. Let's take another one. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Hey, how are y'all? FedEx Sam here. It's been a long time.
Wow. Wow.
I felt called out. So
it's like we sent a bat signal out and you heard.
I haven't called in since the election, which you can imagine was a little bit of shock to my cohort.
Oh.
All the media I follow. And I figured it was probably about time to kind of shut up and listen rather than speak my words. But
interesting.
Kind of, yeah, I mean, we're getting a lot of analysis on my side of the aisle here about why we might have lost the election and kind of what's going on there. But I don't think there's enough time to answer all the questions of that caller, I think 2 calls ago, but just really quickly addressing the issue in California. Illegal immigration is an issue, but it's not as big of an issue as the Trump administration has made it out to be. It's always been there, always existed. I think there's many bigger issues that we should be looking at and tackling. And that's the crux of the protests in California, that Trump has pushed this narrative that so many illegals are criminals and murderers, but there is no statistic, there's no analysis to prove or demonstrate in any way that an illegal immigrant is more likely to be a criminal than a non-immigrant, even illegal, non-illegal, native born, whatever, et cetera. And I think that's kind of what's hitting at people. I mean, there's so many bigger issues that he could be attacking. The homelessness among our veterans, or the general homelessness across the country, or poverty, or just a billion other addressable things. But instead, he's picked up this one thing that has been such a non-issue that will affect both sides of the aisle when it causes rampant inflation, when you remove so much of the labor force from America. So that's kind of what the protest has been based on, in my understanding.
Well, I mean, can you say that to Rachel Morin's family? Can you say that to Jocelyn Nungary's family?
You're picking okay, but now let's go through all the American criminals and let's talk about them and say this guy should never have been allowed to stay in the U.S. even though he was born and raised here, even though he's native, even though his roots are here. You're picking the individuals that are the criminals. And of course,
right, but that's who ICE is primarily going after right now, are people with criminal records. I just saw a post that most of the people they've arrested in California in the last few days are people with criminal records.
Most, but that's the problem. There's no due process. There's no due process on either side of it, and that's what's...
They're here illegally. Why should they have due process?
Yeah, agreed. If you're agreed to the extent that if you are illegal, you shouldn't have due process, but the term illegal in itself is so vague these days, right? What defines you as illegal? If you have asylum, are you considered illegal?
Well, if you have received asylum, no, you're not an illegal. You're here with the permission of the government, right?
But asylum was...
And how do you get asylum? You cross the country and declare asylum, which I don't agree with, but as far as I'm concerned, that's the way the law is written.
Right, and it goes back to what I said earlier. A lot of this is the failure of Congress to properly deal with the whole immigration issue. So...
You did.
Yeah.
Hey, FedEx Sam, thank you for your call. We appreciate every time you call. You've challenged our thinking, and hopefully we challenge yours, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Yeah, make sure you call in more,
Please
brother.
do.
We appreciate you.
We'll try to do it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
it. You guys have a good morning.
Yep, you too. All right, we're out of time for today. Tomorrow, it'll be Nathan and Trish. Don't forget, 6 o'clock over at Philadelphia Baptist Church in DeVille. The big carbon
You've been listening to
capture and
Talkback.
sequestration
The
meeting.
opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting. FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3, Alexandria.
It's 9 o'clock.